presentation of public comments. Do we have any members of the public present? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. You should have one in your folder handy. Give you a minute to look it over. All in favor of the agenda? I'm sorry, may we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. And moving along, I believe we need to recognize a member of the board who will be leading us. So I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Solis.
Good afternoon. As you all know, being a member of the Rapides Parish Library Board of Control, or really any library board of control, is a task that is woefully underpaid. And it is a requirement that you come into the position with an open mind, with a considerate heart, and with the best of intentions. It's a position where you have the opportunity to impact the lives of hundreds of thousands of tens of thousands of people on a yearly basis. We have thousands of people who come through the doors that you govern. And to say that what you're doing is no small task is perhaps the understatement of the year. When you take on this initiative of being a library board of control member, you accept responsibility for the library's governance, for ensuring that we are representing all of our community members, ensuring that everyone is receiving equitable service, and most importantly, keeping me in line. For the last over a decade, Mr. Greg Walker has fulfilled at least part of that mission. He has been on the Library Board of Control since 2011. He has served 2 stints as the Library Board of Control president. Not only that, but he has also served as an advisor unofficially on legal matters, on financial matters. He served on multiple committees, everything from personnel to buildings. He's been here to witness the building of new library branches. He's been here to witness changes in library administration. And through it all, he has impeccably maintained the ethics and the fair judgment and service that is required of all of us as library board members. So I'd like to call Mr. Gregory Walker forward to be recognized for his decade of service.
Appreciate it. It's been my pleasure.
Okay, done. Okay.
Let me just say this. I cannot tell you a more fulfilling and enjoyable thing that I've experienced than being on this board of control. All of the fellow board members are wonderful people. People that are no longer on the board, Ms. Meg Behan, Glenn Rex, and Dr. Patsy Barber are wonderful people. But what I've really enjoyed is the staff. This is one of the best groups of talented, wonderful people who really care about this library and the people it serves. And it shows in the quality of service that this library provides. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a model for all libraries. It is an international model. And to do what we do here at this library with the meager funds that we have, and a clientele that diminishes with time has just been one of the greatest things that I've watched here while I'm on the board. You know, I used to think there were only two sure things in life, taxes and death. But I found out today there's one more. Your term ends up on the board. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ms. Solis and Mr. Walker. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is board member reports. Do we have any board member reports? Seeing none, we move on to the approval of the June minutes. I hope everyone has had an opportunity to review the June minutes. All right, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for the June meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve these June minutes. Are you ready for the question? Seeing no questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the financial report. Ms. Stacy.
Ms. Stacy's not here. Instead, we have Mr. Lee here, who is going to present the auditor's report.
All right. Hello.
I guess I'll just start by saying congratulations. Once again, the audit went very well. There were no qualifications, findings, question cost, or any other matters that the board needs to be aware of or take corrective action on. And your audit went out on time, which it seems to be becoming a more and more challenging thing for a lot of organizations, but you had your affairs in order. There's a lot of financial information in this report. The general trend you'll see in looking at it is that all the financial trends have been favorable for the past year. So that's really all I have to say, other than, you know, congratulate the staff on a job well done, and thank all of you for the opportunity to do this work once again. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. And I also want to say, if any of you ever have any questions at any time, just please feel free to pick up the phone and call our office. We're glad to hear from you any time of the year, whether it's audit time or not.
I just want to say thank you for your thorough work. He comes and usually spends about a week or so, a little over a week with us, and goes through all of our financials, all of our board items, and just does a spot check, and then he goes through and makes sure everything is in line and in order. And
I will point out also, your report's a lot thicker than it usually is, because the state made us do some extra agreed upon procedures. It occupies about the back 20 or so pages of the report. There's nothing particularly interesting in there. I was just going to point out, you know, why all the bulk paperwork this year as opposed to the more condensed version that you usually get. They all go again.
thank you. All right. Do any of you have questions about the audit or the reporting therein?
Can we get a motion to approve the auditor's report?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And hearing none, the audit report's been approved. Great. Next is the director's report.
All right. So, you'll notice, I guess that having that month off made us all a little bit more verbose for, for this month. Cause my director's report's a little more lengthy than typically. We have, of course, some great news on the, front of our partnerships. We have 2 story walks that are in progress that have been now, set up and are going to be, or are located at our McDonald and Kane branches. Those are going going to have the inserts in them by the end of the month and be ready to go. So that's really exciting. That was made possible through a grant from the Rapides Foundation. That's something that Carla has been working on long term. We had a few little hiccups and supply chain issues, but we've gotten it all straightened out, and she did a great job getting those funds for us for the story walks. And we are looking at maybe in the future seeing about getting some additional funding to see additional ones throughout the parish. We also received a $500 donation from the Alexandria Lions Club to purchase additional large print items. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Lions, but they do a lot of really wonderful charity work related to vision and sight loss. And so each year they give us a donation and then also give me the opportunity to go and speak to their club, or the Alexandria Lions Club, about the work that we're doing here and about the importance of large print and audio items for people with vision loss. And it's not only people who are blind or who are going blind, but also those who may be dyslexic or have other reading disorders. Audiobooks and large print can assist with those as well. We are, and I believe I've mentioned this previously, but the project is picking up steam. We are one of 5 library systems in Louisiana that is part of a digital inclusion project. What that means is the state is preparing for the rollout in the next few years of broadband to a more expansive number of our citizens. And we are one of 5 libraries who is receiving some grant money and then also receiving access to North Star Digital Literacy Platform, where people can go in and take assessments to see where they are in their digital literacy and to see what we can do to supplement them. As you all know, we already offer some technology classes, and we have been growing that over the last few years. Well, this is going to give us a little more direction in the needs of our community and help us to reach them and to give them the digital literacy boost that they're needing. So we're really excited about that project. The governor is going to be here in Alexandria on August 31st. The location has not yet been determined by the state, but there will be a formal summit regarding the rollout of the broadband initiatives, and I'm going to be in attendance, as well as several other of our employees representing the library and as one of the 5 pilot sites. So we have that coming up. We had the Louisiana Library Association Conference here in July. That went over very well. We had almost 40 sessions, and I wanted to recognize that one of our very own was named Louisiana Support Staff of Library Association Paraprofessional of the Year. I know I butchered that. I mangled that. I'm sorry, Trina. But she is the Support Staff Professional of the Year for that association subgroup. And what that means, those are the people who are the hands and feet of the libraries. The work I do is not possible. The work that other administrators do is not possible with the people in the support staff subsection who are making sure that the trains run on time. In Trina's case, making sure that the ILS doesn't explode. And making sure that we have all of the things that we need to best serve our community. As ILS manager, she ensures that our system, anytime you go into our OPAC or you go in to check out a book, whenever you get a virtual library card, a regular library card, any of those things directly lead back to Trina. And she does a phenomenal job. And the work that she did during the shutdown and with allowing the virtual cards to happen and making that happen so quickly for our patrons, the curbside checkout, all of those things, like I said, lead right back to Trina, and so she was recognized for her good work. So congratulations. And then we of course have several of our library staff members who are members of LaSalle now and who are taking on some really important roles and making sure that the support staff are receiving the kinds of training that they need and following up. So I'm really proud of the work they're doing for that. They made the unfortunate decision to go ahead and name me conference chair. for the dual conference that will be coming up next spring, which is in partnership with the Southeastern Library Association. We are looking to have that in New Orleans. So we have some RFPs out right now looking for sites, and we are hoping to have a very nice larger scale conference in the spring. Our library book sale for our Friends of the Library is set for August the 25th through the 27th. Again, we are doing a bag sale because those went over really well last year. People purchased a tote bag for $10 and then were able to fill it. That seemed to work much more smoothly than the previous process where we measured like the inches and certain items were a certain price and others were another price. This kind of, it makes for a nice flow. People come in, grab their bag, pay for it at the front, and then as much as they can tote. And I was really impressed with people's bicep strength. So I'm looking to be impressed yet again, but that is next week.
Is it here again?
No, it's going to be at our main branch.
Okay.
Because we have a what I consider a positive problem. Our meeting room spaces at all of our branches are consistently booked, either for library events or outside meetings. I know several community groups that now are utilizing library spaces almost exclusively. We have a lot of programming going on, which Carla will tell you more about in a little bit. But we have really upped our game as far as offering classes, offering programs, and then also inviting our community in to use our spaces. So the Friends, they have to get in line like everyone else. But no, we did move it on to Maine, which it has been done in years past at Maine, and it was equally popular there. So I think a little change up in venue is fine.
When is it, the date?
The 25th to the 27th.
Thank you.
Yes.
From 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yes.
On Thursday
During.
and Friday, and then on Saturday, 9 to 2. And Michael, okay, I'm gonna stop. I'll
You're
put it
fine.
later.
Yep.
Michael Wynn will be there to appraise antiques for
Yes.
$2.50.
Oh.
Yes. So we'll also have the antique appraisal there as well as a benefit. So if you have any older items and you need to get them appraised, perfect chance to get it done for $2.50, which then in turn goes to Friends of the Library. Next, we have a couple of small things going on. James Lassard, who is our facilities manager, noticed an issue with washing away of dirt and rock under our entry platform for the Boyce branch. I would not have noticed this because in fact he had to instruct me, now whenever you drive up on the wrong side of the road, and then you get out of your car and you look to the left, and then you'll see it. He gave me very specific instructions because if you were just driving up like normal, you wouldn't necessarily notice it. But there is a significant gap where dirt and rock has washed away, and so the contractors are in the process of fixing that. So that's being remedied. I was very thankful that he noticed it whenever he was out there doing some other work and let me know so that we could get that remedied before there were any substantial issues related to it. All of the branches have now conducted their end of the summer celebrations, and we had a very nice turnout. Some of our performers, we saw numbers that I don't believe had ever seen before. Our Hindston branch in particular, I know, and McDonald as well actually, for the Harvey the Rabbit events, they saw numbers that they had not seen previously. I believe Hindston was approaching 150 attendees. People were parking out along the highway. And for McDonald, we actually had to move the event to the high school so that we could have capacity in the theater for the number of people who showed up. We had over 200. So yeah, we saw some really nice numbers at the branches. We also were doing the summer feeding programs in partnership with the, and I know I'm stealing some of Carla's thunder, so I'm sorry. But we were working in partnership with the food bank, and that program went over very well in most of our communities, where kids showed up and were fed lunches during the week, and then there was also a backpack program where they could take snacks home if needed. So that was excellent. The next things I have, as I believe I've told several of you, I'm gonna be speaking at the Internet Librarian Conference in Monterey, California in mid-October. I'm going to be discussing the importance of virtual connection and community connection, and how that libraries basically are a resource hub for all of our community agencies, and talking about what we did with the mental health and opioid abuse prevention summit that we held here, where we had Miss America speaking, and we had Dan Schneider from The Pharmacist on Netflix, and we had several other celebrity experts speaking about opioid addiction and addiction and mental health in general, and talking about how you can draw from your community support and then have even a wider ranging net, no matter how large or small your library is, if you use a virtual platform. So I'm going to be talking about that. And then last thing, we regularly review all of our library policies. Again, as some of you know, last week I was at the Library Directors Boot Camp, which sounds much more physically rigorous than it was. But I can tell you what it lacked in physical rigor, it more than made up in mental. We had presentations from the Louisiana Legislative Auditor, from their office. We had representatives come out and talk to us about ethics. We had a presenter about building projects. We had a little bit of everything. And one of the things that we covered was reviewing your bylaws and your policies. I'm happy to report that we are on task and on track. There's just a few little things that we maybe need to make sure that we've added in and tightened up. So we're going to discuss that later in this meeting. And that's all that I have now that I've talked for half an hour.
I have a question
Sure.
regarding the hotspots that
Of
you
course.
mentioned earlier. I had just talked to a few minutes ago. There are some neighborhoods in the city who have expressed an interest in availability of hotspots, because many of the people in the neighborhood are not able to afford, more than anything, the monthly charges. I know that we have the school buses available, especially during the summer, and last year too, especially when we had long distance learning is what I was trying to say. But of course, the school buses are used to transport kids now. So do we have any information about grants that might be available? Or are we connecting on the federal level with the help that will be available to individual homes that need help?
Yes, and that is part of the rollout we're going to be doing with the training. The digital navigators for our system have been going through. We've been given some information about some programs that are going to be rolling out that are going to assist people, have assistance programs for the provision of broadband internet because of the cost situation, and also for devices. In that meantime, I am crossing my fingers and hoping that there will be some additional grant funding that we could possibly look into offering something like Wi-Fi tables at parks or something of that, some type of connection in that manner as well, as a stopgap measure until more people have access. But the part of it is the cost. The cost issue is something that I and quite a few other library directors have brought up, because we recognize that that is one of the primary obstacles in a lot of our communities that may otherwise have access. If you're priced out, then it's not true access.
So there'll be opportunities for the public to be made aware of what's available, and they can apply and go forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent, thank you.
Are there any other
I
questions?
just had a question about the story
Sure.
walls. Are any of them already established? I think it had any branches already had them. I think they did.
During the closure, we did several temporary story walks where we did some downtown postings and things like that. But these are now going to be permanent. They are fixed posts that that are in concrete in the ground and that hold and they can be changed out, that hold the books. So these are gonna be permanent. These are not just the temporary ones. These are gonna be permanent. So, any other questions? Comments, concerns?
We'll move on to direct services report.
Good evening, everyone. I really do not have a report. I would say that we're staffing up. We're actually, right now, this very moment, coming from, Jackie and I have to be partners in it because we interviewed, we hired, and all those good things. But we have 4 people that we are actually in training, as I speak, this week, to be able to go to all the ground. With that, I will be having a managers meeting with all of our managers, our branches, to kind of just get us, I'm theming that we're gonna refresh, refocus, and renew. And so kind of get back into the groove of things after our summer reading program. So that's all I have for myself. Any questions for me? You repeated, Jackie.
Next, human resources.
We got everybody in this room already said, and I'm at the very end.
Jackie, you're up now.
Well, you know what, as long as I can just say hello to all of you, that's enough for me. But no, as, Lene discussed, we are ramping up our staffing, to better serve our public and, I think we got a good group this time. Well, as always, we always do. So, you're gonna see some new faces in the library, so, that's it.
Explain to them what we did with the transition of the position going from subs to the new floating
Oh.
position.
Yeah, well, this has actually been in the works for quite some time. Instead of, just having our regular subs, which only can work up to 29 hours a week, so we were pretty much having a hard time trying to find those type of people, with the salaries and everything. So that's why we opt to move to having what we call floating circulation clerks, which they'll be able to float from branch to branch, but they're full-time employees. So we were able to, give them a better salary than coming in as a sub. So I think it's gonna be a good model that we are using right now. So hopefully going forward, this will be something good for us, because out of those people, once we have openings, they're already in, just like we do with subs, and then we can hire from within for those, higher positions. So we're gonna hopefully continue to do that. So, yay, I got to say something.
And it is part of the larger scale, and she didn't give herself enough credit, but it is part of that larger scale model that Jackie's been working on, where we are going to be preparing our people internally for promotion later and making it possible for people to be able to move up from within and also to receive professional development and training that they might need.
Very good, congratulations. Next up is programming and outreach.
Yes.
Still come up with a little bit of thunder, huh?
So yeah, summer reading is finished. We always breathe a sigh of relief. We love summer reading. Oh, it's working. That's okay. Good. So yeah, we had a fantastic year. It was our first year back since COVID started with in-person programs. People were so excited. And so Lisa talked about some of those numbers, but even some of the other shows, Didgeridoo Down Under, King had more kids at that show than I have ever seen at King in my 15 years. Like it was, we had great numbers across the parish. It was fantastic. So people were excited to come back to the library and see performers. In addition to that, we had tons of other programs, crafts, games, for teens, children, adults. Victoria is just constantly on the road doing those painting classes, and they fill up faster than she can schedule. Like people love them. Karen and Tara are just doing so many awesome adult programs, and Craig is doing cool stuff with kids and teens too. He had something this past month called the Plunger Games, and it's just a ton of games that you play with the plungers, toilet plunder and balls, and the teenagers have loved the plunder games. Someone called him from KLAX today, a sports reporter, about the plunger game. He was like, what? Yeah, it's crazy. But so much fun stuff. Again, people are wanting to come back, they'll do anything. Come for plungers. So yeah, Craig's working on the reports for the state library. We have to put together some reports of all of our circulation numbers for summer, how many people read, how many minutes, how many people attended. So he's putting those together. They'll be done at the end of this month. So next month I'll have actual stats that I can tell you all about how we've compared to years past for summer reading. So yes, Rapides Reads. If you didn't get a book, Kendra has them. We are excited. The Book of Lost Friends by Lisa Wingate, and it's a different title than we've had before. And I'm so excited about it. So this is Karen Riley Simmons' first year to be in charge of Rapides Reads, and she's doing an amazing job. I'm so excited about the programs that she's planning. The kickoff will be September 16th. It's a reception at the Crest Theater. We have food, we have some entertainment, some local actors are gonna be playing some roles, and it's just gonna be a really fun night. Almost all the book clubs in the parish are gonna be covering the book during the kind of period. It's during September and October that we'll have these programs, and lots of other things. We have an event that will be Zoom with, like the author will Zoom in, and a lot of great events. Karen has a huge list. This was a grant that Karen got from the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities, so shout out. This was her first grant to write since she started here, and she got it. So I'm just excited about the work she's doing on this. And lastly, I do want to just take a moment for, the pod is still very new. This was our first summer reading, or their, not mine. This is my 16th summer reading, but this is their first summer reading as programming managers. And summer reading can be daunting even when you've been here a long, long time. And they kind of jumped in with only a few months of knowing they were going to be programmers before summer reading started. And they, all four, have just been rock stars with it. So I'm proud of what they've done. I'm excited to see what else they're doing in the future. So yeah, I just want to give them a shout out. They're an amazing department. I'm honored to help lead them, yes. Any questions about programs?
Carla, no question, but I do want to say, just a reminder, of things really regard to it. It came through the POD program, our food bank partnership.
Oh, yes.
That we had, for all the branches, and that was, the food bank partnered with us, and for each branch, and they had what they call a little lunch snack for the kids every day, and it ended on August the 5th. With that, it has now been brought into a grant where they're gonna be providing after-school snacks in most of the locations, that we already have had. And we also, during that time, we had a backpack, weekend, where they took home the backpack with snacks in it and brought it back. And so that came through the POD program with Craig and working
Yeah.
with, so really, that was a great additional partnership that we had that went very well.
Yes.
I was the branches, although they were a little short-staffed.
I know, it was a lot of work for the branches. I appreciate everything they did for that.
It happened.
Yes, but yeah, Craig had been contacted by the food bank, and so any kid, or I say kid, anyone under 18 could come any day to a location and they could get that free lunch every day. And they were all shelf-stable foods, but I mean, they made a point, because I was at King the day they did the like the observation. I mean, they would go down that checklist and be like, does it cover each of the food groups? Does it have enough calories? Does it have enough grains? I mean, they were lunches that were healthy, it followed that little pyramid to a T. And so, yeah, that was a win-win. I mean, there were a lot of families that sent kids almost every day to eat those lunches of the summer, so that was fantastic. Yeah. Thank you.
For all the hard work, I'm sure is very much appreciated in the public. Next up is the IT.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Before I get started with what IT is doing, I just wanted to take a few minutes and present Trina Kirk with her certificate for completing the Library Support Staff Certification Program. Now, there has been other staff that has completed this, but it's no easy task. I think what people don't realize is that she completed this while working full-time and, had to take courses, and I'll list some of the classes that she had to take. Communication and teamwork, cataloging and classification, foundations, reference and information services, supervision and management, and a technology class, which I'm sure she aced. But, so it's no easy task to complete this, and there's also homework that was required to do, and test. So, I'd like Katrina to come up, and we have her certificate.
That's a good picture of that.
Okay, now on to IT. Oh, and by the way, Trina and I are training the new staff, and we're just so excited to have 4 people, and they're already fabulous, and I can't wait for them to go to the branches and do work behind the circ desk. Just a few things that IT has been doing. Roland and Mark have been going to the branches and changing out some equipment. We're changing out switches. They've even changed out some of the cabling. And it's just made a difference, even though it sounds really small, a small task, and it's something that we don't think to do, but it's made a difference even with printing. For staff to print, it's just a little bit faster, and pulling up our circulation system, Sierra, it's just making it a little bit faster. So we're just trying to find all of the things that we can do to help staff and the public, of course. And Monty, our new systems administrator, he solved our issues with backups and Windows updates, so all that is back on track. And updates are rolling out on a good schedule, and backups are done on a good schedule. And one of the things that he does, he loves to teach. And so he has showed all of us so many things every day. I have a log that I started of all the things that he shows us, so really, so I won't forget. But it's just so nice to have somebody in our department that is so knowledgeable and is willing to share that knowledge. We don't always get that when you're working in IT, so we're very thrilled. And that's all I have.
Do we still have the young lady who was the LC student?
She was just there for the summer.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And next up is public relations.
Okay, so I've been busy, like all of us have. Recently, I have promoted the back to school supply giveaway, the back to school bash, our June and July programs, the Fuel Up for Summer, which was the summer feeding program, summer reading program, and summer entertainment. And coming up next, which I'm working on now, is the annual book sale, August programs, and I've been trying to push some of our student resources since they are now back in school. Also, we have of course, Rapides Reads coming up, but we also have library card sign-up month. And I'm working to include programs on the location pages of the website. So Westside, for example, they have 2 book clubs that happen every month. So I want to make sure that the information for those programs that happen every month or every week are on the location pages of the website. And then I recently updated some of our print items. That's a task that it's a huge undertaking. We have so many printed materials that go out, and all of it needs to be updated, in my opinion. So I'm slowly trying to take care of that because I'm busy with a lot of other things. Okay, and then Matt, I believe he enabled applications to be filled out on the website. Is that right, Jackie?
Yeah, he's working on it.
Oh, he's still working on it. Okay, he's still working on it so that people don't have to rely on a paper application and copying it and emailing it and all that. They can just fill it out right there on our website. We have 12,105 followers on all of our social media channels. We have 9,000 subscribers to our newsletter, and I was pretty proud of how many people we reached over the last month. We reached 134,000 people in the community and organically. I don't have a real number for what advertising dollars reach, but organically we reached a huge number of people. And then you'll see all of my media relations for the past couple of months listed on the back. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
Meredith for the summer.
She has been, she's done an excellent job promoting all of the different programs
Thank
and,
you so
um,
much.
all of our resources as well, particularly the student resources right now.
Thank you. Next up is old business. The old business. None, so we'll move on to new business. First item is the material circulation policy review. Y'all have it?
You should all have a copy, and I guess this should actually technically be under old business, because over the course of the last 2 years, we've made a couple of revisions to our circulation policy, as in we have now included hotspots and laptops that check out, and we have also gone fine free. So with that in mind, we had made those changes and they were in our board minutes. We had them saved in our policy changes. However, as I was going through our policies, I noted that the whole cloth policy had not been completely recobbled together and had everything placed in one centralized location. So I took all of that information and put it together and made sure everything was updated on the one singular policy. So that's what this is. It's basically just making sure that we have everything, all of our updates are now conglomerated and they're all in this one circulation policy where they belong. They have all come home to roost. So just read through it, make sure everything you need is in there, everything we had agreed to. Like I said, it's all been previously approved, but it needs to be under one little house, under one roof.
So Lise,
Yes.
on the back of the front page, I'm looking at what was sent home to us. On the back of the front page, under fines,
Yes.
a customer may be reported to a collection agency once $50 or more is owed. And further down, we have a customer is reported to a collection agency once $50 or more is owed.
Right, so the second one should be stricken, because it's maybe, and the reason that maybe is in there, it's in the case of if someone has absconded with a hotspot, or absconded with a laptop, those types of things.
So is it may or is?
May.
Okay,
Because there could be extenuating circumstances where they've been granted a little more time, or something of that nature, so we don't wanna say is, because it's not a blanket is.
okay, and then right beneath that, customers will be charged for lost or stolen library cards at the rate of 50 cents for minors and $2 for adults. And right underneath the is, you have the same thing.
Yes, that's just an inadvertent duplication. So I will
And-
remove the duplication,
and
and
one
the
more.
same thing for the when a customer,
Yes,
Yes.
okay. So the computer just,
it glitched. I'll blame the computer, it was probably me, but I will blame.
okay.
Oh, and it's now actually, $5.
No, I was saying that the last 5 sentences under
Yes.
number 5 are all repeats.
Oh, yes, okay.
Starting
I was
at
like, I
borrowing
didn't think it was
privileges
$5, yes.
down to the end.
over it all
Yeah, I
day.
looked at that one too.
Oh, certainly is. Yeah, I'm gonna blame the computer, because that seems like the right thing to do.
I agree.
Thank you for catching that. So, striking those. I found where the $5 was in that line, it's the $5 late if in-house or laptop. I knew there was $5 involved. Do any of you see any other replication or omissions? If not, then we will need a motion and a vote.
I move that we approve the material circulation policy as amended.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the material circulation policy review with the amendments we talked about, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's been passed. Now, we see the updates next month and we won't need to do anything, but we'll just see the updates.
Well, yes, it's just going to be uploaded to our regular policies now, because like I said, it was just the accidental duplication that occurred within that. That was totally the computer's fault.
And we have the consideration of the bylaw revision.
Yes. Again, as I was reviewing some of our materials, I noted that in our bylaws, there were a few things that needed an update, and I also have a proposal for you all. So I'll start with the things that we needed to include that were not currently in there. While the understanding is that public participation occurs in all of our meetings, it was not specifically mentioned in our bylaws and should be. And also the governance of that participation. So I did a little bit of research and wanted to make sure that we were going to be in accordance with public participation laws. It's understood that the 3 minutes is a standard per individual allotment of time, and also the necessity of people signing up to speak at the appropriate time. But this would just make sure that that is enshrined within the bylaws. Furthermore, the of officers and employees, just stating that you all set my compensation, which of course is something that you do, but it needs to be enshrined within there. I also reworded, did a little bit of updating on the wording of that, stating just that I am an at-will employee of the board. And then of course, disciplinary actions, if necessary, are decided by a majority vote of the board members present at a meeting where quorum is met. And those are standard things as well that just needed to be enshrined in the bylaws. All of the additions are in blue, additions and changes. The big one that I wanted to propose that all of you will need to discuss, before I go too much farther, because these are changes to the bylaws, they require a 30-day notification period. So today is just for notice and discussion, and then next month will be for the vote. So we will not be taking a vote today. This is just for notification and discussion. So my proposal was based on the amount of business that we do and the patterns that I've seen from our meetings and looking at our minutes, we are not required to meet monthly. And I think that going to a bi-monthly schedule would be beneficial to all of us in the preservation of time, and also ensuring that whenever we did meet, we had a nice robust schedule of things to take care of, and we were able to keep things on track. So that's just something for you all to discuss. If we were to start that, it would be starting with the new year in 2023, and those meetings, if we went with that schedule, would be occurring on, that's section 1 of Article 2, which is on the back side of the first page. January, March, May, July, September, and November. But of course, I know we typically don't have July meetings. That could always be moved to August or June. So, that's something for you all to discuss. Also in there is a change that if we do go to the bi-monthly schedule, it would change the requirements for attendance from, of course, 6 meetings to 3. Because if you did 6, then that would mean you absolutely had to attend all the meetings. So it would be halved as well. And then,
I had
yes.
a question there. Are we saying consecutive, 3 consecutive, or just
Within the
3
year.
period?
3 within the year. It's 3 within the year. It's been 6 within the year for a very long time. But of course, we do keep in mind if someone has health concerns, family concerns, those kinds of things are excused. It's sort of the equivalent of having an excused absence if you have something going on that's significant in your life. When we had the hurricanes and people had some of that they were dealing with, there's of course, we do make exceptions. And the board can always have a vote, if that were ever to come about, the board would need to vote. If there was a removal based on, actually any type of removal, the board would have to vote. And speaking of that, we have an addition in here on Article 1, Section 8. That specifies it's for that reason, but then also that about resignations, and because we did not have a process for that in there, that was enshrined as well, and that was something I noticed glaringly that was omitted. That in the public comments capacity were not in there previously. So those are the changes that I recommend, and in congruence with this, we also have a procedure for public comment form that I included in the packet as well. This is something I'd like for us to adopt for the public who wish to participate in our meetings. It's something that many other libraries have gone to. Either they do a sign-in sheet or they do a form like this. I believe the forms are more helpful because it helps you to keep track of who's speaking, and it helps me to know who I need to get back with, which I really like, having contact information so that I can respond to community member and patron queries. So that's what that is, if you all want to review it.
So presently, we don't have a form?
No, we do
At
not.
all?
No, we do not. Are there any questions? As I said, this is just for consideration and reading, and for you to sit and ruminate on for the next month and see if there are any changes you'd like to suggest or any edits. So, but do any of you have any questions right now? Or anything you'd like to discuss?
I'll have to look at this, and then next month
We'll do some more
I'll
discussion.
have more questions.
Absolutely. Okay.
Item is the appointment of treasurer.
Okay, Ms. Leanza, I believe we had, with Mr. Walker ruling off of the board, we do need to appoint a new treasurer to take over. So,
Can you accept the nomination from the floor?
yes.
So if I wish to be the treasurer for the remaining part of the year, I guess, until January, right?
I have a nomination from the floor for the board to consider. Ms. June Arrington is interested in the position.
Anybody else interested? second, all in favor of, moving the new treasurer? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Thank you.
If we have to do math, I'm gonna have to resign.
A sharp pencil.
Yes. Bring a sharp pencil and a calculator.
Thank you for being willing to serve. Next would be the revision of the 2022 holiday calendar. So just for the rest of the, not much of the year left.
No, there isn't, but there is an important change, based on some scheduling with programs as well as the venue schedule for, the place where we are going to be conducting our staff day. We had to change the date to November the 7th. So I needed to change that from October the 10th to November the 7th on the calendar, just to make sure that all of our documents are in accord with what's actually occurring. So that's what that change is. And I also added, as a matter of convenience, the January 2nd date, which is technically into the next year, but just so that, because it is part of that New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So that's been added into that. So that's those are the changes.
Do you need to
Yes, we do need to
get,
approve it.
need to get a motion to approve?
I move that we accept the, holiday observance and training closures revisions for 2022.
Second?
Okay.
Move to second, all in favor of approving these changes and the updates for the holiday observance and training closure of 2022? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been moved and approved. Next is the adoption of the 2023 holiday closures and trainings.
And I figured while I was at it, and I was looking at calendars, we could go ahead and consider the holiday observance and training closures for 2023. We typically set that around this time of year. We're a little early, but usually September or October we have it set so that we could have planning for the coming year. So nothing significant has changed. It's the same days that we always have observed, the same number of days. There are a couple of them that we have observance closures, and you might notice a little wonky that Christmas Eve, the observance closure is actually on Christmas Day because of the way that the weekend fell. So, and that's just the way that you have to do to make the payroll work out the way it should and everyone to receive the appropriate leave time. It's the observance closures sometimes don't align with the actual days. But the numbers come out the same.
Be the same days, obviously.
Yes, the same, and that's just to keep that in order, and it's with the federal closures and holidays as well, so that it all lines up.
Anybody have any questions about this or observations? Entertain a motion to approve the 2023 holiday observance and training closures.
I so move.
Second.
Move to second, all in favor of approving holiday observance and training closures for 2023? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It has been approved.
Let me have your yellow sheet unless you want.
And then the reschedule of the October regular meeting.
Thank you. Okay.
And, as I mentioned previously, I am going to be out of town on the 3rd week of October. And, while of course you all could have a party without me, I would ask, if you wouldn't mind moving up the date by a week. If you all could do that, I'd appreciate it, to October the 11th.
Do you have any questions or about that?
We do need a motion to change it.
Everybody's in agreement, and have any objections, so we get a motion to approve the change to October 11th.
I move that we change the meeting date to October 11th.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor of approving moving the October date to the 11th? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That all right, you
just going to mention, for your consideration, have this mulling over in the back of your head for the next meeting. We are considering in the new year in 2023 going back to the rotation among the branches, not having all of our meetings here. So that's something we can be considering for in the near future. I just wanted to throw that in there. I meant to do it during my director's report and it slipped my mind.
And next meeting will be September 20th here at Westside Inn. Any comments, questions, anything anybody will talk about? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all very much.
Well, you're free man.
This is brilliant.
You're a free man.
Free man.
Oh, yes. Okay, I just pointed out something.
There was never the right time and place to cut the cake. There is a cake
Yes, Greg needs to go and cut the cake. That is
in
very
honor
important.
of Mr. Walker.
Yeah, we have to go cut the cake.